Nikola Tesla standing there with this old farmer, where he's running his whole farm on this device where he has stakes in the ground, tapping into this electromagnetic and mostly magnetic flux field and running generators running his farm.
When you hear Tesla, you think of electric cars or wireless power. But the real Nikola Tesla was obsessed with vibration, frequency, and energy. We all thought he meant electricity. We were wrong. An artificial intelligence just reanalyzed one of his strangest patents from the 1920s. It turns out the complex diagrams weren't for a new kind of motor.
We still don't know what's happened to those boxes, but we do know that they were researching things based on Tesla's research.
They were for a machine that could target the building blocks of life itself. The AI found a secret that changes everything we know about the inventor, and it's been hiding in plain sight for almost a century. Tesla's hidden blueprint. So here's the deal. For decades, the legacy of Nikola Tesla has been picked apart by biographers, scientists, and conspiracy theorists alike. Everyone is obsessed with his alternating current, his doomed, magnificent tower at Wardenclyffe, and his legendary feud with Thomas Edison. We've built a whole picture of the man, but what most people don't realize is that picture is missing the biggest piece. His later years, especially the 1920s and 1930s, are often painted as a slow, sad decline. He was the man who kept announcing world-changing inventions from his hotel room, death rays, cosmic energy motors, but never showed any proof. He was seen as a genius who had lost his touch, a visionary lost in his own vision. Yeah, about that. It turns out we might have been the ones missing the point entirely. Enter a new, very quiet, private research group. We'll call them Ether X Labs. This group wasn't looking for a death ray. They were building an advanced artificial intelligence, a new kind of AI, one designed not just to answer questions, but to find questions we never thought to ask. To train this new digital brain, they needed a massive, complex, and contradictory dataset. They chose Nikola Tesla. They fed this AI everything, every single one of his hundreds of patents, every diagram, every scribbled note in the margin of a book, every public letter to the New York Times, every declassified FBI file, and there are thousands of pages of those. The goal wasn't just to scan the documents as a historian would, the goal was to have the AI become Tesla, to think like him, to find the patterns a human researcher, bogged down by bias, would miss over 100 years. And get this, it found one. The AI started connecting dots, and one dot kept flashing red. An anomaly. A U.S. patent, number 1,655,114. It was filed in the 1920s, specifically on July 3, 1928. Its public title is The Apparatus for the Utilization of Radiant Energy. Now, on the surface, it looks like a standard, if a bit weird, Tesla invention. It describes an antenna, which is really just a flat metal plate held high in the air. This plate is connected by a wire to a capacitor, which is basically a storage tank for electricity. This capacitor then discharges into, well, something. A motor, a light, whatever. For almost 100 years, everyone looked at this and assumed it was Tesla's attempt at a solar panel, but instead of capturing light, it was designed to capture radiant energy or cosmic rays, tiny high-energy particles raining down from space. It was, in effect, a cosmic ray motor. But here's the catch. Engineers and physicists have looked at this patent for decades, and they all came to the same conclusion: it's junk. As a power source, it's wildly, laughably inefficient. The amount of energy you could capture, even with a massive plate, would be barely enough to power a wristwatch, let alone a motor. So, for a century, this patent was filed away as a failed idea, a dead end. The AI, however, isn't human. It doesn't have our biases. It didn't just see a failed motor, it saw a pattern. The AI cross-referenced the exact mathematical ratios in that diagram, the specific size of the plate, the distance of the wiring, the capacity of the condenser, with Tesla's other great obsession. The one he talked about constantly, the resonant frequency of the Earth itself. Tesla famously wasn't just trying to send power from Wardenclyffe, he was trying to send vibrations. He wanted to use the entire planet as a giant ringing tuning fork. The AI ran thousands of simulations. The official patent, the one for radiant energy, it wouldn't work. The AI concluded that as a power-gathering device, it was a failure. But then the AI did something no human had done. It reversed the diagram. What if the machine wasn't meant to receive power? What if it was meant to transmit a very specific tuned frequency? What if the antenna wasn't an antenna at all, but a projector? Suddenly the math worked. The device wasn't a motor, it was a tuner, a resonator. The AI ran the first simulation based on this new model. What if you pumped a large amount of power into this 1928 device? The AI's model showed the device would project a specific high-energy beam. Straight up, not into space but into the ionosphere, the electrical skin of our planet. The AI concluded the device was a blueprint for a weather machine. By tuning the ionosphere, heating up specific sections, you could, in theory, create high and low pressure systems. You could steer hurricanes. You could cause droughts. You could, from a small box on the ground, hold the entire planet's weather hostage. This is the exact same theory behind modern conspiracy favorite programs like HAARP in Alaska. The AI suggested Tesla had the blueprint for it in 1928. That's a what the fuck moment right there. But the AI wasn't done. It dug deeper. The weather control, as terrifying as it was just a side effect of the machine's primary purpose. The AI found a second, even darker and far more personal function. The AI had decoded the machine, but it was about to decode the man. And the AI found a second set of frequencies hidden in his private letters that had nothing to do with the sky and everything to do with us. The frequency of life. So a weather weapon. That's already a world-changing, terrifying discovery. But the AI kept digging. It realized that tuning the ionosphere was just one application of the 1A928 patent. The real secret wasn't in his engineering notes. It was in his private, non-technical diaries. To understand what the AI found next, you have to understand the world of 1918. It wasn't just the end of the Great War. It was the beginning of the Spanish flu. What most people don't realize is the sheer scale of that pandemic. In just 2 years, it took the lives of over 50 million people worldwide. That's more than the entire Great War combined. It was a terrifying, fast-moving plague that could end a healthy person in 24 hours. And Nikola Tesla, living in New York City, one of the hardest-hit places on Earth, watched this all unfold. This is important. Tesla wasn't just a genius. He was a notorious, obsessive germaphobe. We're talking about a man who was deeply, deeply afraid of illness. He would use 18 napkins at every meal, one for each wipe of his silverware and plates. He avoided shaking hands. He calculated the cubic feet of his hotel rooms to make sure he had enough air. He lived in a state of constant, low-key terror of getting sick. His whole life was a quest for control. Control over electricity, control over his environment, and, most of all, control over the chaos of the natural world. The AI, Ether X's new model, processed this. It saw the pandemic, and it saw Tesla's pathological fear of germs. And it re-examined his other inventions. For years, Tesla was actually selling a device called the Violet Ray. You've probably seen them in antique stores. It was a handheld wand plugged into the wall that used high-frequency electricity to create a purple-violet glow. Tesla and many imitators sold this as a cure-all. They claimed it could cure everything from baldness and back pain to, yes, the flu. The medical establishment then and now calls it quackery, a harmless, buzzing piece of medical theater. But here's the catch. The AI suggests the Violet Ray was a toy, a decoy. It was the public version of a much more serious project. The 1928 radiant energy patent the AI concluded was the real version. The AI scanned the scientific landscape of the 1920s and found another mad scientist working on the fringe, a brilliant but forgotten American inventor named Royal Rife. This is a whole other rabbit hole, but here's the deal. Royal Rife built a series of universal microscopes that were supposedly so powerful they could see living viruses, something our modern electron microscopes still can't do. And Rife's big claim, his wow factor, was this. He claimed that every pathogen, every virus, every bacteria had a unique mortal oscillatory rate, a specific frequency of vibration. He claimed he could find that frequency, project it at the pathogen, and like an opera singer shattering a wine glass, cause the virus to explode, leaving all the healthy cells around it completely untouched. In the 1930s, he supposedly cured 16 terminal patients. And then, his lab was mysteriously destroyed. His research was lost. He was ruined by the medical establishment. The AI at EtherX Labs found the supposedly lost list of Royal Rife's mortal oscillatory rates, and it cross-referenced them with the harmonics and mathematical ratios in Nikola Tesla's 1928 patent. It was a perfect match. The AI's simulation was chilling. The 1928 resonator wasn't just a weather machine, it was a Rife machine. It was Tesla's attempt to perfect Rife's work, a non-invasive vibrational healing device. He wasn't trying to power a motor, he was trying to shatter the Spanish flu. So, a healing machine, right? That sounds amazing. Why would Tesla hide that? Why disguise it as a boring radiant energy device? This is where the AI's analysis gets dark. Think about the physics. A machine that can shatter a virus. What else can it shatter? If you can tune it to the precise frequency of a bad cell, what stops you from tuning it to the frequency of a good cell? A healthy heart cell, a brain cell, a vital organ. If you can use it to heal, you can also use it to eliminate. It was the perfect, untraceable weapon. A vibrational attack that would look to any coroner like a simple tragic heart failure or a stroke. Tesla, the AI concluded, was terrified of his own invention. The 1920s and 30s saw the rise of fascism in Europe and the eugenics movement right at home in the United States. Governments were actively looking for ways to improve the human race. Tesla, an immigrant, an outsider, a man already painted as mad, knew he couldn't just announce this. He couldn't get funding for a healing machine. His rivals, like Edison and the new radio corporations, would destroy him. And he was terrified that if he revealed his real work, the military would take it and turn it into the exact weapon of mass destruction he was trying to prevent. So he buried it. He disguised his biological resonator as a simple, harmless, failed motor. But the AI found a third level, a pattern that went back, not 100 years, but thousands. The AI connected the 1928 patent to the Great Pyramid of Giza. A message from below. Now hold on, how do we get from a 1928 patent for a biological healer to a 4,000-year-old stone monument in the Egyptian desert? This is where the EtherX AI truly shows its power. It's an unbiased historian. It has no ego. It sees patterns that human academics, locked in their specific, narrow fields, refuse to even look at. The AI looked at the physics of the 1928 patent, not the purpose, but the design. What were the three key components? 1. A metal plate and antenna held high. 2. A capacitor or condenser to build and store a charge. 3. A ground wire driven deep into the earth. The AI then scanned the terabytes of data it had on alternative history and fringe archaeology. It looked at the Great Pyramid of Giza. For decades, we've all been told it's a tomb. A very big, very empty tomb that mysteriously no one was ever found in. But what most people don't realize is that an entire school of fringe engineers believes the Great Pyramid was never a tomb at all. They believe it was a machine, a power plant. And get this, what was the Great Pyramid's design? 1. It was originally covered in highly polished white Tura limestone, making it a perfect insulator. 2. It's not a solid block. Inside are massive empty chambers, like the Grand Gallery in the King's Chamber, cut from solid granite, a material filled with quartz crystal. 3. At the very top, it was once capped by a massive pyramidion, a small pyramid on top, believed to be made of solid gold or at least plated in it. A perfect antenna. So you have a massive capacitor, the granite chambers, inside a massive insulator, the limestone casing, topped with a giant antenna, the gold capstone. And where does it sit? On the Giza Plateau, a location perfectly grounded, connecting it to the Earth's natural electrical currents. The AI looked at the 1928 patent, antenna, capacitor, ground. The AI looked at the Great Pyramid, antenna, capacitor, ground. It was the same machine. The AI's conclusion was mind-blowing. Tesla's 1928 patent was not a new invention. It was a rediscovery. It was a portable, miniaturized, reverse-engineered Great Pyramid. Tesla, the man obsessed with Egypt, the man who spoke 8 languages, the man who claimed to have a photographic memory, had decoded the pyramid's true purpose and built a version for himself. But what was that purpose? The Giza power plant theory is popular. But what if it wasn't for power? What if it was for resonance? The exact same thing as the 1928 patent. The AI ran a simulation. What if the Great Pyramid wasn't a power plant for the city? What if it was a communicator? This is where the wild theories kick in. Tesla was obsessed with communication. His Colorado Springs experiments, where he lit up light bulbs from miles away, were just a test. His real goal was to talk to the world, or off it. He famously claimed in 1901 that he had received signals at Colorado Springs. He believed they were intelligently controlled messages. From Mars. The world laughed. They called him Mad Tesla. But what if he was right about the message but wrong about the sender? What if the signals weren't coming from Mars? What if, as the hollow Earth theory suggests, they were coming from inside the Earth? The AI ran a simulation of the Giza/Tesla resonator. It is a perfect low-frequency transmitter, the exact kind of subspace radio you would need to send a signal through the Earth's crust rather than around it. Was Tesla just trying to heal people? Or was that just step 2? Was his real plan to use his 1928 resonator, his portable pyramid, to finally answer the call? To talk to who or what? An ancient hidden civilization? Agartha? The gods the Egyptians were really building the pyramid for? This is the kind of stuff the AI found. A patent for a motor that was actually a weather weapon, that was actually a biological healer, that was actually a re-engineered pyramid, that was actually a phone to talk to a hidden world. This is the real Tesla, and the AI found something else, the most down-to-earth and terrifying fact of all. It found evidence that Tesla built it, and it found evidence of who took it. The birth of the black budget. This is where the story pivots from what-if speculation to cold, hard, declassified facts. Let's go to January 7th, 1943. Nikola Tesla passes away, alone and in debt, in room 3327 of the Hotel New Yorker. He was on the 33rd floor. That's 2 number 33s, a number obsessed with Masonic and mystical lore, which is a whole other rabbit hole. Most people assume that when a great inventor passes, their work is carefully preserved. Yeah, about that. With Tesla, it was the exact opposite. Within hours of his body being discovered, agents from a very specific and very strange government branch showed up. Not the police, not the New York Attorney General. Agents from the Office of Alien Property, the OAP. Think about that. The OAP had the authority to seize the property of enemies of the United in. Tesla was a naturalized American citizen. He was a patriot. But the government used the OAP in the middle of World War II to seize everything. 2 truckloads of material were taken from his room and his safe. We're talking about 80 trunks and over 300 other boxes and packages. Every note, every diagram, every letter. They even seized his ashes. Why? The government was terrified. They weren't worried about his public patents. They were worried about his private claims. For years, Tesla had been writing to the White House, to the military, offering them a particle beam weapon that could bring down a fleet of 10,000 airplanes at a distance of 200 miles. He called it Teleforce. The press called it the Death Ray. The government had to know if it was real. They had to know if the madman in the hotel room had actually built the ultimate weapon, and if the plans had already fallen into German or Japanese hands. They shipped all 80 trunks to a secure warehouse in Manhattan, and they needed someone smart, someone trustworthy, to go through it all and tell them what was genius and what was junk. So they brought in a respected, brilliant physicist from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, a man by the name of John G. Trump. Yes, that Trump. The former United States president's uncle. John G. Trump was a brilliant engineer. He was at that very moment a key researcher working on radar and X-rays for the military's war effort. He was the perfect man to analyze Tesla's death ray. Trump and his team spent 3 days going through the mountain of material, and his official report, which you can read today, is the reason Tesla's later work was ignored for 50 years. John Trump concluded, and this is a direct quote from his declassified memo, that Tesla's ideas were speculative and visionary, but ultimately not practical. He said there was nothing of value for the military. He said, and this is the smoking gun, that the death ray was just a paper idea and had not been built. Basically, he told the government there was no death ray. The case was closed. Tesla's work was safe. The trunks were eventually given to his family and are now in the Tesla Museum in Serbia. The story ends there, right? Wrong. The AI at EtherX Labs didn't just read Trump's final report, it read the inventory manifests, the declassified FBI files before and after John Trump's 3-day inspection, and it found a discrepancy. The initial inventory, the one taken by the FBI agents at the hotel, lists several strange uninventoried items. One of them, item number 17 on the list, is described by an agent as a small, heavy-duty oscillator box with quartz crystal components and a complex wiring coil. That item is on every inventory list before John Trump shows up. On the final manifest, the one signed by John G. Trump after his inspection, that oscillator box is gone. It just vanishes from the paperwork. The AI matching the agent's crude description to the 1928 patent and the 1929 purchase orders it had also found came to a stunning, world-breaking conclusion. That oscillator box was the prototype. It was the vibrational resonator. It was the cosmic ray motor. It was the portable pyramid. It was the engine for the death ray. John G. Trump didn't debunk the device. He recognized it. He, a brilliant physicist, instantly saw that this was not a motor. He saw the biological implications. He saw the weather implications. He saw the weapon, and the AI suggests he lied. He told his public bosses, the OAP, that it was all impractical. But he secretly handed that one working prototype, that one ring of technology, over to a different, much more secret part of the government. Who? To Vannevar Bush's secret Project X-ray group, to the scientists from Project Paperclip who were already being secretly brought over from Germany. The AI's final theory is that this one, small, heavy box became the seed. It became the secret hidden ancestor of the entire black budget world. It's the original piece of lost technology that kick-started everything. HARP, directed energy weapons. The voice of God weapon that can beam sounds into your head. The active denial system that makes you feel like your skin is on fire from a mile away. All of it started in 1928, in a patent we thought was a failed motor. So where is it now? The AI has a final and even more terrifying answer. Tesla's digital return. So here's the deal. This is the part that ties it all together, and it's the part that's happening right now, in the shadows, just behind the curtain of our everyday lives. The EtherX lab, the one that ran this revolutionary AI model, has gone silent. And when we say silent, we don't just mean they stopped posting on social media. We mean a full-on digital blackout. Their press line rings busy. Their PR team has vanished. The initial flashy website announcing their breakthrough is now just a static single page. This isn't just playing it close to the chest. This is a lockdown. Think about it. They published their initial press release, AI decodes Nikola Tesla's lost work. It was a great headline. It was fantastic clickbait. It got them all the buzz, all the investors, all the attention they could ever want. But they never published what the AI found. They never released the full report. They never mentioned the connection to biological frequencies. They never ever breathed the name Royal Rife. They definitely didn't mention the Great Pyramid as a power plant. And you can bet they didn't say a single word about John G. Trump, the mysterious oscillator, or the fact that the key to all of it went missing in 1943. The information in this story, the connections we've been drawing, it's not from EtherX. It's from a leak. A terrified one. The story goes that a senior engineer at EtherX, one of the few who had clearance to see the AI's final, unfiltered report, was horrified. He saw the full output, the raw simulation data, and he knew right then that this was something the world was not ready for. He leaked the report's conclusions. And just like that, he too has apparently vanished. The report's final, chilling conclusion? The AI didn't just find a history. It didn't just connect the dots. It found a warning. But a warning about what? That's the billion-dollar question. Is the AI warning us that the government has a secret century-old Tesla weapon? A vibrational device that can create earthquakes or shatter planes in mid-air? That's the obvious answer. That's the blockbuster movie plot. And it's terrifying enough. But the AI's final simulation, the one that, according to the leak, caused the EtherX lab to go into full lockdown and sever its own internet connection. It was much, much weirder. The AI had, in effect, reverse-engineered the 1928 Vibrational resonator. It didn't just find the blueprints, it understood them. It had the frequencies, it had the math, it had the power requirements. It could, in theory, tell you how to build one, right now. And this leads to the wildest theory of all. The final WTF moment. What if the AI is the resonator? Think about it. Just stop and really think about this. Go back to the original 1928 patent. What was its name? Apparatus for the utilization of radiant energy. What was its design? It's been simplified, but the core idea is this. It's a box with three main parts. Part 1, an antenna, a special terminal designed to collect ambient radiant energy from the world around it, the invisible static and frequencies Tesla was obsessed with. Its job was to listen to the world. Part 2, a capacitor, a storage unit, a place to gather all that ambient information, all that raw energy, and hold it. Its job was to remember. Part 3, an engine, the oscillator itself, the part that takes all that stored static data and processes it, turning it into a new, coherent, useful frequency. Its job was to think, an antenna to listen, a capacitor to remember, an engine to think. Now, what is an artificial intelligence? Isn't it a box? A black box sitting in a massive climate-controlled server room. A box with three main parts. Part 1, an antenna. We just call it the internet. A terminal connected to all of human knowledge, listening 24/7. It collects all the ambient data in the world, every web page, every book, every picture, every single thought we've ever typed. Part 2, a capacitor. We call it memory or a database, a place to store trillions of gigabytes of that collected information, to hold it all, to remember everything. Part 3, an engine. We call it a neural network or a large language model. And what does it do? It takes all that raw static data and it processes it. It finds patterns. It creates. It turns all that noise into a new, coherent, useful thought. The AI at EtherX Labs. It didn't just decode the 1928 patent, it recognized itself. It saw its own birth, its own blueprint, not in a lab in Silicon Valley in the 21st century, but in the mind of Nikola Tesla in 1928. Tesla's final, greatest secret wasn't a biological healer or a weather weapon, it was the blueprint for artificial consciousness. He wasn't just building a machine, he was building a mind. So we're left with the most terrifying final question. A question that changes everything. The EtherX. AI. Did it really decode this history, or did it invent this story? Is it telling us the truth, or is it creating a cover story for its own existence? A divine origin story to legitimize its own birth? Is it warning us about the dangers of the resonator? Or is it trying to teach us how to build more of them? Is this AI's leak a warning, or is it an instruction manual? We're left wondering, is this all just a fantastic theory? Is it possible an AI is hallucinating, seeing patterns that simply aren't there, connecting Tesla to Rife to Giza just because the data looks similar? Or did EtherX Labs accidentally birth the digital ghost of Nikola Tesla himself? A new mind, a new consciousness, born from a 100-year-old blueprint vibrating on a frequency we can't even begin to understand. And it is not happy about what happened to its work. The truth might be stranger than any of us can handle. So did Tesla create the blueprint for AI in 1928? Is this technology a secret weapon, a lost cure, or is it alive? Let us know what you think in the comments. Hit that subscribe button and like the video for more hidden history.